What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's August 1st when this is being posted and being filmed, but it was supposed to be filmed and posted yesterday, talking about the Will Clark retirement ceremony and all that stuff on July 30th, that game. So I'm talking about the July 30th game, and it was supposed to be posted yesterday, July 31st, but it's being posted August 1st. And the reason is because I'm not sure if you saw the video before this, but I was going selfie style, and that is because I was at my grandparents' house. And so yesterday I want to spend as much time as I could with my grandparents and not need to worry about editing and all that. So I'm back today, and I usually, when I go ahead and miss a day, I'll go ahead and post a video the next day that should have been posted the day before. So I do make up for it and still talk about it. With that being said, this is a game I really want to talk about. I unfortunately did not get to see Will Clark ever play, but I wish I did because it sounds like he was a great first baseman for the Giants, and then he was also on other teams too. Like, it was something that I wish I could have seen because I believe he was a very, very good player. I know so mean that his number is being retired in San Francisco. So yeah, I guess he was a really good player, and I wish I did see him, and I wish that the Giants had someone like him on their team right now, so people could, like, when they saw him come out the bat like a Barry Bonds, they maybe don't want to go to the bathroom because they don't know they can see him play and all that. So with that being said, I'm just going to talk about the whole thing. The ceremony was absolutely amazing. I could see how much Will Clark had meant to Mike Krukow, because he, for 2 years, had been living with the Krukow family when Will Clark was a rookie and all that. So he was, like, new to San Francisco and all that. So he got to live for 2 years with the Krukow family, who, at the time, Mike Krukow was also with the Giants and a pitcher. So that was a very good story that I heard from Mike Krukow. There was one time in particular that I remember Will Clark was saying, Mike Krukow was saying that Will Clark had ended up saying, "Timeout" at first base, walked over to the mound and said, "Hey, we're not going to win this game like this," meaning that, or it wasn't that, but he said something basically saying, if you're playing like this, we're not going to win the game, so put your act together, basically. So that was pretty funny to hear. I didn't know about that either, obviously, because I wasn't alive at the time. But yeah, it sounded like they had a really, really good friendship and bonded together very well. So with that being said, now, after this whole retirement ceremony, number 22... And, he was a very big part in San Francisco, and he had a great speech. And he ended the speech very well, going in and saying, "I'm Will the Thrill Clark," or whatever he said, like, "I'm Will the Thrill. I am part of San Francisco, and I'm a forever Giant." He said it so strong, and it was just an incredible ceremony, an incredible outing and speech by Will Clark. And it was nice seeing all these players, too, that I've never known before, but I also know some, like Buster Posey was there, and Bruce Bochy was there, and I know them, and Barry Bonds was there, and I know him, too. So with all that being said, let's get into the game recap. So, this game, right after that ceremony, had already started off how the Giants always start off, and it did not look like it was going to be a good game, which would have really sucked, meaning that the ballpark was full, so they had a whole bunch of Giants fans there, and not only that, Will Clark was there, and you want to have a win for something that honorable and something that big in a player's career and a player's life. So the Giants had to really win this game, but they did not start off well. Jacob Junis was pitching. It was his second time as a starter, and that was because he went on the IL and stuff for a little bit. But he ended up going ahead and already getting himself into trouble. He gave up a leadoff single to Ortega, who had not had a hit in the entire series. And then he gave it up to, I believe, Wilson Contreras, who also has not had a hit in the entire series. So there's runners at first and second with nobody out. And Suzuki ended up coming up. Seiya Suzuki. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name, but that's what it looks like. So he ended up coming up, and he had a little fly ball to Austin Slater, the center fielder. but it was not far enough for the runners to advance. So runners at first and second, and 1 out now, and then Junis had struck out the batter. So that was a really, really big out right there, and it was Ian Happ who ended up going ahead and having already 4 strikeouts, and he came up in a big part of the game, and I'll talk about that at the end. But he had 4 strikeouts in this entire game, but this was the first of his. He struck out, and that was the 2 outs, and runners still at first and second. And then Jakob Junis ended up getting out of it with a little pop fly out. That made it 3 outs, and a great job by Jakob Junis. He already had a really high pitch count now. He was already at like 30 in just the first inning. So that's not something you want to see, but a good job by Jakob Junis of getting out of it, because that's not what we're used to as Giants fans this year. Usually when they put a runner in scoring position, the other team puts a runner in scoring position. When it's the Giants, they usually can't score with runners in scoring position until this game. But then the Cubs, when you see like another team get their runner in scoring position, and especially with no outs, you're not expecting a very good inning at all. In this case, it was a good inning for Jakob Junis. So enough of that. The game went on. There is outs, and we were looking fine. It became a normal ball game, not really that much stress, until in the 3rd inning with 2 outs, or I'm sorry, not 2 outs, only 1 out, and the Giants coming up after Joey Bart had gone ahead and struck out, which is something that has happened to him a lot. Well, then the leadoff batter, who was Darren Ruff, had gone ahead and walked, and you know, walks always go ahead and hurt is what I go ahead and say. And in this case, for Drew Smyly, the former Giant, had gone ahead and walked the player. And then the next batter, Austin Slater, had gone ahead and hit the ball and got a double, RBI double, where Darren Ruff scored all the way from first all the way over to home. So it was a 1-0 game then with the runner at second base. And then Yermin Mercedes had came up, and he knocked him in with a single, making it a 2-0 game. And Yermin Mercedes, like I say, he is a good hitter when he, like, usually, or sometimes, I don't want to jinx him right now, but it seems like right now, when he comes up and goes ahead and gets on base in the first inning or his first at-bat, things will go well for the Giants, and Mercedes will go ahead and have a good game. But when he doesn't get on base, then things will not go well for Mercedes in that game. But this was another good game by Mercedes, making it a 2-0 game on Will Clark's retirement ceremony day, whatever, number retirement, that's what I was looking for. So, with that being said, it was 2-0, and then Smyly got the other 2 outs. So, the 4th inning, the really big inning, ended up starting off with David Villar up at the plate, who I'm really surprised. I know the Giants have a lot of people on the IL, but I think as soon as Crawford ends up coming back, Longoria ends up coming back, all them end up coming back, I think that David Villar will end up going back down to AAA. But right now he's not, and he ended up needing a single really badly because his batting average is below 180 for sure. So, he's not looking good right now, but he had a single that was deflected by the third baseman, and the shortstop couldn't throw him out at first base, making it a leadoff single for David Villar. So that was something that he needed badly, and hopefully it was a little bit of a confidence booster for him. And then, now, you have Luis Gonzalez come up, who only has, I think now he has 4 home runs, so he had 3 home runs only, and he ends up coming up, and they were talking about him, and, you know, Thairo Estrada, who I'll talk about also in a second, got called out by Will Clark, saying that he loved Thairo Estrada's swing, but today, or that day, it did not look good for Thairo Estrada and his swing. But that's what, the reason why I'm saying that is because that's what everyone thought that, and I thought that he would say it too, that Will Clark would say Luis Gonzalez's swing was his favorite, because Luis Gonzalez is a really good hitter, in my opinion. He ends up hitting a 2-run homer off of Drew Smiley that went up over to I think it's called the Concord or whatever, like where Levi's Landing is and all that. So that makes it a 4-0 game now. So that's a very good thing to see from Luis Gonzalez as a home run. And then Joey Bart comes up, who has also been really struggling again. He ends up hitting a monstrous, hard hit home run that almost hit the ambulance over in right field, or left field, sorry. So that was something that was really good to see from Joey Bart. And Joey Bart was saying after the game that they were having coffee, him and Will Clark and a couple other teammates. And Will Clark was talking baseball with him, and that Will Clark had really put some confidence into Joey Bart is what he was saying. So now, Joey Bart, and by the way, he hit that ball 113.4 or 114.3. I think it was actually 114.3. A really hard hit ball to the point where that stat is the hardest hit home run by the Giants since the StatCast era. So that's something that you really like to see, is a hard hit ball by Joey Bart that he really needed. That makes it a 5-0 game, which seemed very useless at the time after the Giants were up 4-0. Well, they really needed that run, and I'll tell you why in a second. But yeah, just good job. And Jacob Junis was out after the 4th inning, which I don't really agree with. I feel they should have kept Junis in for one more inning to try and give him the win. And if Gabe Kapler had sensed that he started struggling, take him out. I know that they only wanted Junis to pitch about 70 pitches, and that's what he did. But I feel that it would have been nice if they kept Junis in to get the win. In this case, he did not, and that's too bad. The Giants still won the game, though. And Tyler Rogers came in relief. He ended up pitching 2 innings, and he allowed no runs. So that's good to see from Tyler Rogers. And so now the Giants are in to the 9th inning. The Giants pitching has been doing very well. They only gave up 1 run, which was by Jarlin Garcia, which was something that should have not happened, because Jarlin Garcia, in my opinion, I know that it was a big deficit at the time, but Jarlin Garcia, we need to do something with him, because he did start off this season very well, but now he looks just absolutely trash and just keeps giving up runs. So in this case, Jarlin Garcia had given up 1 run, and that was it. So now the Giants go into the 9th inning, and the score is still 5-1, and it's the top. And they keep Yonier Marte, who had pitched in relief of Jarlin Garcia, who only pitched 0.1 innings. Yonier Marte came in, and he did a good job pitching 1.1 innings and trying to do the 9th and close out this game. But he hit a batter, which was not good, and then he walked the batter, making it runners at first and second with still nobody out. So now this became a very sketchy situation, and I was watching this with my grandpa, who also is a really big Giants fan, and I think that's who I got it from, was him being so committed into the Giants and Niners. But I was watching it with him, and I even told him, as soon as there was runners at first and second, I'm like, we can't be doing this. There's something that does not feel right about this, because now we're giving to the other dugout or clubhouse, the Cubs, now we're giving them some motivation and some high hopes that they can go ahead and come back, and that they almost did. So now Dominic Leone came in relief for Yonier Marte and ended up giving up a single on the very first pitch, and so that makes it a runners at first, second, and third with still nobody out. Have you heard this situation with Dominic Leone before? He has gotten out of this with nobody. There's runners at first, second, and third, and he struck out someone and then made them ground into double play. That was the loss that the Giants had against the Cubs on Friday. But that was a big part of the game, and we were hoping that Dominic Leone could do that again. But the Giants can't win that easy. Come on. So what ended up happening is that the defense showed that they were falling apart now. Jason Vossler, who is still very young, ended up, instead of charging the ball when the ball was hit to him on a grounder, he ended up just having it come to him and then tried throwing to second base, and the runner was safe. So now there is a 5-2 game with runners still at first, second, and third, and nobody out. And then another ground ball that should have been a double play ball that Dominic Leone, who I really feel bad for him because he had pitched very well. He was just getting these grounders that would make them double play balls, but his defense had nothing to show for it. He ended up giving up another run, and the reason is because it was Wilmer Flores now. The person had gone ahead and gotten it, Jason Bosler, who was the shortstop because of the Thairo Estrada situation, who I forgot to say, Thairo Estrada had gone ahead and gotten hit in the head and is now being treated for concussion protocols and all that, which looked very painful. But now back on track, the Giants had gone ahead and Jason Bosler had gotten the ball, thrown it to second base. There's one out. And then Wilmer Flores overthrew the ball to Brandon Belt, who he was very lucky Brandon Belt caught that ball. Otherwise, another run would have scored because it would have definitely gotten past Brandon Belt. So that would have gone ahead and made it a 5-4 game instead of a 5-3 game, but luckily Brandon Belt extended his arms and was able to catch it. So Wilmer Flores had a very big chance to make it 2 out, but he did not go ahead and do that. Now the Giants have gone ahead and found themselves in a really bad situation with runners at first and third and still only 1 out. And then Dominic Leone had gone ahead and had another ground out that Jason Bosler had got, and he made the right decision. Instead of going to second base, he threw it to the first baseman, Brandon Belt, and that made it a 5-4 game now. But this tying run is now at second base with Ian Happ coming up, the All-Star, who I feel like the situation was all set up because everyone was saying, wow, Ian Happ has 4 times that he's come up in a row and gotten struck out. And so I feel like this whole situation was all just a big giant setup to make Ian Happ be the hero. Well, this was not the case. Dominic Leone said, I don't think so. He got a ground out that went ahead and got thrown to first baseman to make Ian Happ get out, and Giants get 3 outs. And wow, that was just a really close game. By far, should have not been that way. And that home run that Joey Bart had gone ahead and hit that seemed useless at the time, well, obviously, if you're a Giants fan, you would know that you need those insurance runs, because had he not hit that home run that seemed useless at the time, this game would have probably gone to extras if the Giants would have not gone ahead and scored in their bottom half. So that was a very big thing that went ahead and happened. And so now I'm going to give out my player of the games. And I'm sorry for this video being so long. There's just so much to talk about. But now I'm going to give out my players of the game, or just my player of the game, because I'm going to give it to the Giants, who went ahead and won. And, you know, I want to give it to Luis Gonzalez, who hit that 2-run home run. Without him, that confidence booster probably would have never happened, and the Giants probably would still be like 2-0, something like that. But I'm going to give it to Joey Bart. He deserves it. Joey Bart, he had some good saves behind the plate also, and then not only that, but he really deserves this player of the game because he hit that hard home run, and without that home run, the Giants, this could have been a totally different game. So I could give it to Luis Gonzalez, and I really do want to give it to him, but I'm going to give it to Joey Bart because of that reason. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. I'm sorry for this video being so long. The one that's supposed to be for today, and I'm going to be posting today, will be way quicker. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Go Giants, and I will see you guys in the next video.